Okay, thanks everyone for joining. So today, let me present to you my path on obtaining PMP certification. I will tell you how I prepared for it, what was, let's say, major milestones, what would I recommend for you, everything like this, my timeline, overall costs, and of course my feedback. Let me share my screen. I prepared some slides, so it will be easier for you to follow. And it's coming. You should see it now. Okay, we have 1.5 hours booked, but I think 1 hour will be more than enough for us. So feel free during my presentation to ask your questions. I think it doesn't make sense to wait until the end because it will be more convenient for you to discuss some specific topics as soon as I mention them. So just raise your hand or just go straight in and tell me your question and I will try to answer it. So let's go on. Okay, first a couple of words regarding my background, then why PMP? Yes, remember how Simon Sinek says we need to start with why. So let's tackle this first. Then some general steps how to become a PMP certified specialist. Then we will go into specifics of my study plan. I will share with you my schedule. We can discuss it. Also discuss some errors or inconsistencies I did during my preparation. It might be interesting for you. Then, because I was taking an online version of the exam, I'm going to tell you about it, but there is also an offline version available. We can discuss it as well. I will share my results and feedback. There will be actually more info than on this slide, but let's dive into it and you will see. So a couple of words about me. I have overall about 12 years of experience in project management, 30 different projects and programs I managed or led with varying budgets from quite small ones to quite big, I would say, with different durations, different teams in a lot of different domains, but mainly in IoT, cloud, and fintech. And I also have several well-known certifications. So this experience I'm going to discuss right now, it is not only from my PMP, but in general, I think if you're planning to pass some well-known international certificate, it will be of value for you, even if it's not a PMP. Okay, so first a couple of words, what is a PMP? Because I see that not everybody here are project managers, so this slide is for you guys. There is an institution in USA, it is called Project Management Institute. It is a well-known established organization. I think they exist for more than 50 or 60 years now, and their goal is to standardize, to capture and standardize different ways, different experience of how people should manage projects, different tools and techniques, things like this. And so during a lot of years, they prepared some books. Actually, their most known book is called Project Management Body of Knowledge. And based on this book and also a lot of others, they issue some certificates. And one of the well thought certificate in the project management field, it is a PMP, Project Management Professional Certificate. They say on their website that it is the gold standard of project management certification. Not sure about it, but probably it's what they say. So basically, it's well-known certificate. So pretty much people in any part of the world knows about it if they are somehow related to project management. So big stuff, and having this certificate in general, I would say maybe prestigious or interesting for a lot of people, and not many people are having it, or maybe not so. Um, I think about 400,000 people or so are now PMP certificate. So quite a lot of people, but in general, it can be hard to obtain. It can be easier to obtain. So let's discuss how to do it actually. But let's start with whys. I'm going to talk a little bit about my whys. Um, the biggest goal for me was to actually organize my knowledge and gain some new skills. This one, mm, I I see every certification as a knowledge refresher, as a some standard how I can understand what is interesting for a lot of organization, what is, let's say, a standard. That's my main goal. Not about money, not about something else, but to organize my knowledge. So when I approach the certificate, I do it really hard. I study a lot, and I make sure that I know this topic really well. At least that's my approach. And some of you asked, it is not really necessary to get a PMP certificate. You don't need to know everything related to project management really well. There is some standards that you need to achieve, but I would say it's not like 100% of your knowledge should be crystal clear and excellent. But in my case, that's what I want to achieve. This was my first why. My second why was of course more career possibilities. If you look at the today's market, a lot of organizations in requirements specifically, they mention, okay, guys, we need PMP certificate of some kind of related certificate, maybe agile. So a lot of organizations are requesting it right now, and that was my second why, because I ever wanted to work in the mm, international organization, so I knew that I need this certificate. Okay, and my third why was money. If you read PMI pages, they have some research that they do periodically about how much PMP certificate holders, how much money they make compared to non-PMP certificate holders. And of course, in their research, PMP certificate holders always have higher salary. I don't know if it's actually true, but according to their research, it is. So that was my third why. Okay, guys, I'm already speaking a lot. Maybe you have some personal like objectives you want to achieve with this certification. This is a good time to share. So maybe I can adapt my future slides to it and cover these topics. So anybody wants to share? Okay, that's also good. Let's proceed then. So let's actually talk about how we are going to make it happen. This is actually all the steps that you need to take, not so many, right? But we are going to go deeper into each step. First, you need to become eligible, and I advise you to go at pmi.org and check the requirements because sometimes they change, but we are going to review them on the next slide. Then you need to complete an application on the pmi.org. And this is important because when you start your application, you have 90 days to complete it. And if you fail to do it within 90 days, the application will be, canceled or declined, and you need to start all over again. So if you really want to do it, just start and complete it in several days, not wait 3 months until it's declined. Then you need to wait for a review. It typically takes about 5 days. I think it took 4 or 5 days for me. You just sit and wait, and after 5 days, you receive an email like, congratulations, you are approved to go. but sometimes an audit may be required. Again, it's a standardized procedure. You can read about it at pmi.org. What an audit mean? They just their task is to verify information you provided in your application. So they will probably contact your previous workplaces or your previous managers, asking them, okay, can you confirm this guy, he reported some PM experience in your organization during this time on this project. Can you confirm this or not? This is how it's typically done. And if you are not lying in your application, it shouldn't bother you. It will just take more time, maybe a couple of weeks, but in the end, you will get verified and you will be approved to pay for the exam. Yes, after this step, after the review is done, you can go and pay for the exam. It was $544 in my case. Quite a bit of money, right? Now it's even more, I think 554. I will give you more details later. But again, you first need to get verified and then you can go and pay for the exam. After you paid, you're given, I think, 1 year to schedule your exam. So you can schedule on the last day of the year or you can schedule for tomorrow if there is a free time slot. And again, I'm going to talk about it a little bit more later. It's pretty straightforward. Then the easiest part, you need to pass the exam. We are going to tackle it in a lot of detail. And of course, don't forget to celebrate because it's really an achievement. A lot of people recognize this. So celebration is always good. Buy a champagne or something. Okay, guys, if you have questions, feel free to ask. If no, I'm going forward. So a little bit more regarding eligibility requirements. So even before you can create your application, you need to satisfy all of these requirements. And they have like two possible ways. Yes. If you have a 4-year degree or if you have just a high school or secondary school diploma, you can see that the amount of mm, experience leading projects, it differs in case you have a university degree and in case you don't have it. This is the only difference actually. So 36 months, it is not so much. So even let's say middle PMs, they can apply for the PMP, but 60 months it is more. So if you don't have a university degree, it is several years until you can apply. Bear this in mind. And also they require these 35 hours of project management education or training. It is pretty easy to achieve and we will discuss how to achieve it in a moment. So they can update these requirements. So it is better that you go to pmi.org and check them. But I checked a couple of days ago, it was like this. So let's move on. Regarding my study plan. So I actually did 4 high-level activities, let's say. The first one was a Udemy course, and it was needed for me to qualify for this 35 hours of project management education. Yes. So there are some courses, and you will typically find it in course description if it qualifies for this requirement or not. I just looked through the Udemy and I found a course that I found interesting and it qualified for this 35 hours, so I took it. I will show you the course on the next slide. Then exam simulator, and I think this is the most important thing to prepare and to successfully pass on the first attempt your PMP exam. So we are going to talk about it in a minute as well. Then Rita's book. It is the second most important thing to successfully pass. Again, we will talk about it in a minute. also exam simulator, as it's written here, and other activities as well. I read a lot of articles, watched a lot of YouTube videos. Also, Reddit has a great subreddit. I think it's called just PMP. Go there, read some success stories, read some recommendations from top posts. This is a great resource. Don't forget about it. And again, I'm going to give you some more guidance on the next slide. So let's talk about this Udemy course. It looks like this. Mm, I think this screenshot is from 2020, so it's a little bit outdated. And you can see that it says PM Book Guide version 6. Now the actual version is 7. I know that this course is updated. It had and it has now a lot of students, great ratings. It is taught by Joseph Phillips. So I suggest you to consider this at least. In my opinion, this course was okay, but maybe there are better courses, maybe there are some worse courses we can discuss. And if somebody started your preparation, guys, feel free to jump in and tell us which course did you take for this 35 hours requirement and what was your reasoning behind it. Anybody?
Actually, I've also started this course by Joseph Phillips a couple of years ago, but
Mhm.
had no will to complete it. But still, I think Victor, it's a good choice. So I believe it's very cheap, right? So you get your first impression on PMP,
Yeah.
just the overview, and then you can dive deep into details.
Mhm. That's right. Thanks, Vitaly. The thing with Udemy in general, you can find courses for 50 or 100 or $200 on Udemy, but don't buy them. Just wait for a couple of weeks or a month at as a maximum, because Udemy, they always do some kind of discounts, things like this. And I actually bought all of my Udemy courses for $20 or less. So just wait and you will see there is a discount, and when it is here, buy it. Okay, any other courses or suggestions, guys? Probably not, then let's move on. So the thing I strongly recommend you to do is to prepare some kind of study plan. As you can see, it was my plan. It is a simple Gantt chart, but you can do it in a way you like it. I just went into the course. There are different sections. In each section, there were lectures and there was an assignment. I just checked how much time it should require me more or less to finish lectures and assignments in each course. I put this information here. Then I picked start date, end date for everything, and that's how I did my planning. Of course, during the actual preparation, plans change, but when there is a change, you just know that you are here, for example, and you skip couple of days. You just move everything which is right for this couple of days forward, and that's it. But you need this plan to know where you're standing, and when you're slacking, it helps you to get back on track. So I recommend you do something like this. Okay, let's move on. Regarding this specific course, I can recommend you to watch it at 1.25x speed, because I think Joseph, he speaks a little bit slowly. So you have technical capabilities to speed it up. Then I strongly advise you to take notes, because there are a lot of topics in this course and during your PMP preparation in general. So it's vital you take notes, because after a couple of months of preparation, you will forget what was in the beginning. So notes will help. Then, of course, I advise you to complete all of the assignments, all practice exam, and everything you find in this course. And for me, In my opinion, it was a good course, good overview, but for me it was harder than reading, for example, Rita's book. And we are going to discuss Rita's book in a moment, I think. Okay, this is pretty straightforward. So this guy is great. He is always cheering. He's smiling. He keeps saying, "You keep moving forward. You can do this," and you really can do. So keep moving forward, guys. And I think somebody has a question. Go on, Craig. Okay,
It's Brick Road. Yeah.
okay, I see. Okay, no worries. Good. So enough with this course. Let's move on. Mm, this slide is about RMC Learning Solutions in general. RMC, it is a company founded by Rita Mulcahy, and she was a great PM. She was an expert in this field, and she spent a lot of she dedicated a lot of her time in preparation of uh, preparation programs for PMP and for other certificates. And she even has written a book. It is this book, but it is simply called Rita's book. And if you tell anybody who is a PMP certified, did you read Rita's book? In 95% of cases, he or she will reply to you, yes, I did. So Rita's book is a must. I strongly encourage you to find it, to buy it. It's easy to find and buy. So uh, for me, I think it is much easier to read than the PM book. But on this slide, I was comparing to the previous version, to the sixth version of the PM book. Now there is a seventh version, and I think seventh version is better in terms of comprehension and ease of read. But with the sixth version, Rita's book is definitely easier. And again, this book was more appealing to me than the Udemy course because you can go back, you can go forth. There is a lot of different tips specifically for the exam. So it's invaluable resource. Yes, a lot of tips. And another part of RMC learning solution, it is the exam simulator. And again, it is another invaluable part in your preparation. You need to find or buy the simulator. It's a must. It has a lot of different questions, great questions. They are really, really similar. They are written in a way very similar to the ones on the actual exam. Not completely similar, of course, but mm, it is quite similar. And typically, these simulators have a lot of questions. For example, mine, while I was doing it, it is called Fast Track PMP. I completed 1,590 questions, and I can say right now that it was an overkill. I would say that you generally need about 500 or 600 questions, and it should be enough. If your goal is just to get this PMP certification in first seed, if your goal is to, deepen your knowledge, make sure you know all of the concepts crystal clear, maybe you need more questions. But in general, I would say 500 should make it for you. Okay. And also, you can Google RMC Learning Solutions. They have a website with all of their products available. There is a good thing. It is called Rita's Process Chart Game. Because specifically in the previous version of PM book and the exam, they put a lot of attention into processes. So you need to learn it. And this chart game, it is a great, great way how to learn it with some gamification in it. Just Google it and you will find it. Any questions here, guys? Okay. So let's also talk about other activities. I suggest you go maybe on Reddit or somewhere and find a study group or just do some regular discussions with peers because it really helps to discuss something new, to prepare together. Maybe you have a friend who is willing to prepare but lacks, something. You can talk with this friend and do your preparation together. It helps some people. So study group is a good idea, I think. Then another good idea is to do a PMP practice exam. This is the official exam offered by PMI.org. You can again Google this and go to their website. And the thing is, when I completed it 4 or 5 years ago, it was completely free, but now it costs $99, which is, not so much, but not so many. Still, I encourage you pay for it and you take it because this exam and the questions, the structure, the wording in questions in this practice exam, it was the most uh, similar wording and everything with the real exam. So this is the most similar exam to the real one I know about. Probably there may be some more exam with more similarities, but in my experience, this is this is it. So I encourage you to do it couple of times, maybe in the middle of your preparation and just before you take the exam. It helped me a lot. Okay, and also YouTube. On the YouTube, I want to specifically mention this guy. He's called Ricardo Vargas. He is a well-known project management professional. Just Google Ricardo Vargas on YouTube or in Google. You will find his website. He has a lot of different great stuff, great videos and materials. But I specifically encourage you to watch mm, a couple of videos. It is called like the full PMBOK in 1.5 hours, something like this. He has a video for PMBOK version 6 and also a separate video for version 7. It is a screenshot from its video, so I suggest you take a look. It is a great explanation overall, probably the best I have found on the internet. Okay. Then there are some good videos about formulas memorization. There are different techniques like space technique. Again, I encourage you to watch it and maybe it will help you to memorize formulas. And also, mm, one of the most difficult topics, at least for many people, is integrated change control. And on YouTube, there are great videos on this topic. I also encourage you to watch. But basically, you can watch videos on any topic which is difficult for you. And this last thing, Reddit, subreddit. So very good resource. And definitely take a look. Okay, any questions here, guys? Good. Let's move on then. Okay, this is my preparation schedule. As you can see here, I was slacking a lot because it says 7 months here, but it shows only 5 months here, right? So you can see that Udemy course, it took me about 3 months to finish. But of course, I was not dedicated like full time during these 3 months on the Udemy course. I was slacking a lot. I actually made 2 big breaks in the process. But again, I was casually learning. And I think if you really focus, if you have full-time job and you can dedicate maybe 1-ish hour a day for this, so it should take you about 1 or 1.5 months to finish this course. If you can dedicate more time, then 3-4 weeks, it is more than enough to finish it. And I suggest you do it in one sitting, but it is not always possible. So if you can do it, if you keep postponing, it's also fine because you can see I was keep postponing and I still got my certificate, so it's not a big problem. But during this last 2 months, I really forced myself. I get into it. I spent a lot of time reading Rita's book and doing exam simulator. And I mean really a lot of time during these 2 months. So you can see that there is also other activities like reading the internet, watching YouTube videos, Ricardo Vargas. Again, I do it more or less throughout my full preparation, but of course, on the last months, I spend a lot of time refreshing my knowledge. So I suggest you do it too. So in general, if you prepare like casually, I think you should dedicate 3 to 4, 5 months maybe for preparation. If you do it like it's your day job, yes, if you're preparing for a lot, like 4 hours plus a day, you can really do this in 3 to 5 weeks. It depends on you. I even read about people who did it in 1 week, but I suggest you not to do it like this because why? Just pick some pace, understand your possibilities, plan in advance, and proceed. And it's not a problem to fail. If you fail, just reschedule, replan, because you are a PM. Yes, and it's a good advice to think about this full process as a project. So apply the same techniques and everything to this process as you would apply into a project. All right, guys. Any questions?
Just to summarize, so first you should make the research preparation, and only after that it's better to make this application and schedule your exam, right? Or you should do it somehow in advance, like to make the PMI organization
Mm-hmm.
know about your
No,
attempt
no,
to pass
no,
the exam.
no. Yeah, I would say it doesn't really matter because just just plan at least 1 month before you start your application at PMI, uh, and before you take your exam. Actually, yes, just plan for at least 1 month. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make sense to plan for more because why? Of course, you can apply, you can then study for 6 months and then take your exam. It's also not a problem. But I suggest when you think that you are going to take your exam in 3 months, maybe time, just go and apply. It's a
Mm-hmm.
straightforward process. Naglis?
Yeah, I just have a question because, like, if I understand, if I remember correctly, there is like 45 PDUs requirement for application. So, like, you still have like to go through this Udemy course and have like certified that you pass it because it's required for PMI to for in your application that you have like 5 PDUs or
Ah,
courses or not.
good call out. Yes, good call out. Right. In order to actually apply to finish your application, you need to document these 35 hours of PM education. It is not PDUs because they
Yeah,
will
yeah,
become
yeah.
PDU after you have your certificate, but before there is just you know um, how they call them. Let's see, project management education slash training hours. Then
Yeah.
yes, you need to document them in your application.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not an issue if you first complete this training. Uh, and then you know that you're going to sit for the exam in 1 month ahead, you go and document everything.
And I have one question, Victor.
Mhm.
If you're taking exam, like if you fail from the first time, is the same price or it's less? Maybe you have seen somewhere.
Sorry, I didn't catch your point.
Like
Was it?
if you
Mhm.
went, if you
If you failed?
fail at the first try,
Ah,
yeah,
uh-huh.
is the
Hmm.
retake the same for the same price? Have you seen it maybe somewhere?
Good, good question, but I cannot answer because I never considered
I,
this an option for me.
okay, Okay, okay.
Yeah, you need to go to PMI and check for yourself.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just interesting. Maybe that's the thing.
Okay, any other questions, guys? Okay, let's move on then. So, some study tips from me. Yeah, sorry. Okay. So, study tips. As I said, I encourage you to approach this PMP certification as a project. It really makes sense. And for me, it was more convenient to study in the morning, before all of your calls that happen throughout the day, because in the evening you just have more reasons not to study in the evening than in the morning. Yes. So you can incorporate it into your morning routine and study in the morning. It really helps to keep the space. I suggest you to do a lot of tests because practice makes perfect. And remember, a lot is about 500 questions answered or so, depending on your experience, your background. And after you answer this many, you can do your practice exam and see if you are scoring like 10% of it or 80 or 90, and you can judge by it. I suggest you to complete this PMP practice exam. Unfortunately, it's going to cost you, but still, good thing. I suggest you to plan in advance your exam day and also the day before you take the exam, what you are going to do during this day, plan what you are going to eat during the exam because there are two break times. And if you are doing your exam from the comfort of your home, it's good to take this 10 minutes and eat something. Just have everything prepared. It will help. You don't need to think about it. You don't need to worry. You just go and do it. Of course, if you're taking your exam offline, in-person view center, you can't take any food with you. This is unfortunate. It is one of the reasons I have taken it online, but okay. And last point here, I suggest you practice making network diagrams in and notes in Paint, in simple Windows Paint, because on the exam, there will be a specific tool. I'm going to tell about it a bit more later. But in this tool, you don't have a lot of fancy controls and stuff, but you have a free canvas and you have some, instruments like in Microsoft Paint. And sometimes you need to draw these network diagrams. So it makes sense that you practice doing it. It can help you save some time on the exam. And also practice making calculations in Windows Calculator, because again, on the exam, if it's an online version, you are not allowed to bring a physical calculator, but there will be a digital calculator incorporated into this tool. So it's pretty simple. It looks like Windows calculator, so get used to it. So it is not something unexpected for you. Okay, I have more tips upcoming, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Hey, Victor, I have one question. And why do you need network diagrams for the exam?
Yes. Actually, for the previous version of the exam, there were some questions regarding network diagrams. In my attempt, they haven't asked me to draw anything, but I read that for some people they asked to draw some diagrams. They give you in the text some details, some timings, and they are asking about a critical path, for example.
Oh, I
So
understand.
you can you can you know you need
Without
it.
drawing, you cannot
Yeah, yeah,
follow
yeah.
it.
It will be easier for you if you draw. Maybe you don't need to draw these rectangles. You can just draw some numbers like this, yes, like this, and then it will be your critical path. Yes, it will be
Yeah.
easier, but practice this.
Yeah, thank you. Victor, I have another question. Speaking about, let's say, tests. So
Mhm.
how do you do this test? Let's say you are not sure about the answer. Do you study it in details, or obviously, if you have a mistake, you try to understand why you did it. But if you are not
Mhm.
sure, you also investigate it.
Yeah, I can just say how I approach this, but it's up to you to decide. When I'm not sure about some question or answer, I marked it for a review, but I'm not going to investigate this and find uh, an answer right away. Yes, I just mark it for a review. Then I proceed with my test. I submit it, and I return back to this question. And there are two options. Yes, either I got it right or wrong. If I got it wrong, so I sit and study and Google something. If I got it right, I just read the review text, because in good exam simulators they always give you some comments for answers, and for me it is enough. You got my point?
Yeah, thank you very much. And I believe that makes a lot of sense for me also.
Mm-hmm. Sure, you're welcome. Any other question, guys? There will be more tips, I think, on the next slide, so we can move on. Okay, one more tip regarding timings. Pay attention, it's just an example, because when I sat for the exam, it consisted of 200 questions, and you've been given like 230 minutes or so. I think now there are less questions, like 180, and you're given less minutes. But this slide is to explain you the concept. When you are on a real exam and the clock, it will be somewhere here at the top. It will be ticking. Yes, and you are going to look at it and you can get nervous about it. So it's a great simple technique. Just as you start your exam, you can open this free canvas and you can just uh, not write, but select, a text instrument and enter something like this. You put the remaining amount of time and you put how many questions you should have answered by this time. Yes, it's like if you see on this clock like 210 minutes is left, you should be around 25 each question. And by this technique, you can always check if you are okay with your pace or not. Yes. For example, when 1 hour left, you should have done about 150 questions. You should have this many questions answered. All right, but it was in my case. Right now, the exam it has a little bit different timings. So I suggest you study it and you prepare something that will, help you on the exam. Something in this way. I hope I explained this concept. If you have questions, feel free to ask. If not, let's move on. Okay, regarding costs, I just checked this last week, and basically you need this much money to get a certificate, and it includes membership application fee. If you are not a member currently, you will pay a fee just to, you know, become a member, and then you will pay a membership fee itself. It's two different fees. Several years ago, it was $129. Right now, it is 139. So you should pay it together. And then the exam application fee, it depends whether you are a PMI member or not. But they structure it in a way that it makes sense that you first buy PMI membership and then pay for the exam. It will be several dollars less for you in this way than if you just buy an exam without paying for the membership first. It is not a big difference, like $20 each, but anyway, So pay for your membership first and then buy your exam. And regarding preparation cost, it really depends because you can use different materials. Here is my example. Udemy course, it costs me around 20 or less dollars. Then the book, then the exam simulator. As you can see, this is the biggest, yeah, the most costly thing. And right now, as I suggested to you, you should add this PMI test exam for another 99. So in general, these preparations cost, they will be probably around 500 each dollars as well, if you're going to buy everything like I did. So quite a sum of money, but at least now you know what to plan. Yes, go on. Andrei, about skipping, yes, you have, and I will explain all of these details, I think, in a couple of slides. Anything else regarding this slide, guys? Okay, let's move on. Also, you need to know that in 2021, the exam was changed, and they will probably change it again, but there is no announcement about it, so I doubt it will happen in the next 2 or 3 years. Maybe in 5 years they will change it, or so we will see. But they have released this new PMBOK guide, the 7th edition. Sorry. And they updated the exam accordingly. So in this new exam, in this new PMBOK guide, they introduced, not introduced but they differentiate more these 3 approaches. Yes, in project management, they differentiate more this predictive or waterfall, agile, and hybrid approach. And it is really important for you when you read your question, you need to answer it depending on the approach used in a question. Yes. For example, if from the question you can see that you are in a hybrid environment, for example, the question is about, risk management, but also about some stage of the waterfall development, which means it's a hybrid, or you need to answer accordingly. If it's just an agile environment, no mentions regarding risk or anything, you need to answer accordingly. This is really important to understand and to train. I think on Reddit they have a lot more information on this, so I suggest you go and study this because it's really important. And as I know, they removed process questions, so-called ITTOs, inputs, tools, techniques, and outputs. So they removed these types of questions from the exam, which is good, I think, because it means you don't need to learn all of this, because there's a lot of different topics here, like 50 plus. You just need to familiarize yourself, but not learn it by heart. Then I know that some people wrote that there are no calculations anymore. You just need to interpret some formulas. I'm not sure if it's true or not. You're going to have your digital calculator, but anyway. And some people wrote that it's also a good makes sense right now to practice PSM, Professional Scrum Master mock test. Basically PSM or PSPO. You can find it for free on the scrum.org, because some questions from Agile, they may be related to the concepts covered in this test as well, and these tests are free, so why not review them? This is my suggestions to you guys, and also I think I have more. Oh yeah, these 2 books, I encourage you to go and read through carefully. This first book on the left, it is called PMP examination content outline, and it basically outlines everything, every concept that you may or may not encounter on your exam that you basically need to learn. There are a lot of concepts there, so familiarize yourself, understand their structure. There are different domains. All of this is written in this book. And also another book, it is book regarding PMI certifications in general, a handbook, but you need to read about PMP. You have the most up-to-date information on the eligibility requirements, on the exam structure, how many time you will have, how many breaks, and for how much time, things like this. And again, how much it will cost you to reschedule, how much it will cost you if you fail and you need the second attempt. All of these questions, it will be in this book. All right, let's move on. Now I will tell you more about the specific online version of the exam. It is called proctored exam because you're going to be monitored by a proctor. So I just check current exam. It will take 230 minutes and you will be given 180 questions. So you will also have 10 minutes breaks after 60 questions and after 120 questions. It means that, you can skip back and forth during each of these segments. So, for example, you answered your first 60 questions, and then you will see some kind of pop-up or something that will say, okay, you have answered your 60 questions. Do you want to submit them right now and go and take your break, or you want to review them? And I strongly recommend you go and review them because it makes a lot of sense. And I will explain to you in the next slide. The same with this second segment. There is a question. Yeah, a lot of questions because this exam is, it is a thing. How long is each question? It really depends. It really depends. As I remember, there are maybe 10 or 20 questions maximum that are relatively small. You can like read them fast enough and then go and answer them like simple concept checking. But 50+% actually have a lot of text, I would say. And there are some ideas how you can, read these questions. I'm show to you on the next slide. So let's finish with this one. You should know that you will be given a demo of this testing software in the beginning. You will download it on your computer. So you will be given a demo. You can understand how to work with it. So don't worry about it. It's pretty easy. And at the end, when you click submit, you will see your results like immediately, but you are not going to see like you have scored 100% or 90%, nothing like this. You will see something like, congratulations on passing your exam. It's a tremendous achievement. Go and celebrate. Or sorry, you haven't passed. And this will be a clear indication to you if you passed or not. And it typically takes a couple of days for them to process your exam, to review everything. And if you are not cheating, then everything will be fine, and they will send you an email with another congratulations and with specific explanations, with divisions by domains, how much you scored in each domain. I'm going to show it to you in 5 minutes. Okay, so survey at the end, they will ask you, please tell us what was the experience. Was this questions good? Was this tool convenient for you? So just you can answer it or skip it. It's up to you. I already told you you're going to have a digital calculator, a paint-ish tool, and you are also going to have a highlighter tool and a strike-through tool. And this is really important. I I recommend you to use both of it. For example, when you do your first reading of a question, and you know immediately that, for example, 2 out of 4 answers, they are not correct for some reason. You just go and strike through these 2 answers, and you mark this question for review, because for maybe you can decide which of the 2 remaining answers is the correct one. So you strike through incorrect, you mark it for review, and you go to your next question. And when you're about to finish with this segment, you just go and review only those questions that you have marked for review. At least it helped me a lot, because for the second time you are going to decide from 2 answers, not from 4 answers, and it really helps. You can also use a highlighter. I uh, I highlight some concepts from the question, how it was spelled, because sometimes they try to, you know, trick you with wording. You need to pay careful attention if the question asking about is it correct or is it not correct. So you can highlight this part just to make it easier for you. And I urgently suggest you to mark a lot of questions for the review. Of course, if you are not sure in a lot of answers. For me, I think I've marked maybe 40 or 60 questions for the review during my exam, because I wasn't sure. And it's fine. It's fine. It's like you're having 2 different exams incorporated one into another. Yes. First, your bigger exam, and then your second smaller exam. But for me, I think the exam was divided into 90-90 parts, like 90 questions first, then pause, and 90 questions second. For you, it will be 2 pauses, so 3 different parts. Take this into account. All right, so for the exam, you need to bring your ID, basically your passport. Yeah, Nagli is gone.
Short question. When you're saying these like these parts of like 60 question and 120 questions, so but at the end you can come back, like when you are talking about submitting them. So you cannot come back to these questions at the end of exam,
Yes,
or
yes. You can come back only to the
so
questions in this last part.
okay. And even if you submit it for review, it's only during this break you can do.
I didn't get your point. Look,
Like
you
if
you
you
proceed,
yeah,
you answer 60 questions, or actually, I think
yeah.
59 questions. And after 59, when you click next, you will be given this prompt. Okay, are you willing to take your first break? So don't click it, don't take it. Click review and go and review your 59 questions.
Okay, understood. Thanks.
And Victor, if you click next, so this step will be passed and you will not be able to
Yes.
get back to it.
If you click next, your break will start and you will never see these 60 questions again.
So you should approve it in chunks.
Yes, of course.
Mhm.
It's logical, because imagine you take a break, yes, you read about something, then you come back and you change your answers on all of the questions that you seen previously. They won't allow you to do
Yeah,
it. Mhm.
I believe, as for me, as I understand it, so the main challenge here that you have not a lot of time and a lot of questions. So you really don't have time to think about questions. You either know the answer or not. And perhaps you have some time, to get back to some specific questions.
Uh, Not
Even
necessarily. Not
Mhm,
necessarily. It depends on you. Uh, I I I can tell about you, but I can tell about my experience.
mhm.
In the end, after I do, I think 2 rounds of review, I still had more than 1 hour left on my timing. But it is because I am crazy and I have answered 1,600 questions before taking this exam. So if you do a lot of practice, you're going to have enough time to review everything and, to drink your coffee.
But it sounds like we should practice like you to do a lot of testing, so it will help.
No, even if you don't practice like me, if you do like I say about 500-ish questions answered, you still should have like 15 or 20 minutes left at the end to review everything. I don't think it will be a big deal. But of course, everybody is different. And when I was sitting for my PMI ACP exam, for me, it was actually more difficult than PMP, but I studied maybe a little bit less questions this time. And I had left no time at all. I finished like on the last minute of it. So it really depends.
Yeah, thank you for answering.
Sure. So don't forget, you need to bring your ID and the name, how it's spelled in your ID. It should exactly match the name you entered during your registration process, or you will be, you know, you will be not allowed to pass to sit for the exam. So make sure it is complete match. Uh, for the offline version, or sorry, for the online version, if you're going to do it in your home, you need to bring your smartphone because you're going to verify identity via your smartphone. You will take a photo of your passport, of your face. It will be uploaded to their servers, and it will be verified that it is you who is sitting for the exam. And you are not allowed to bring nothing else. No paper, no calculator, no watches, nothing. And the proctor, he will ask you, to take your notebook and to turn it around to show what is behind your desk, what is to the left, to the right of you, what is even under your desk. He will ask you to show it. He asked me to show it at least. So make sure you have nothing here, no, you know, like no desks, no whiteboards, no sticky notes, nothing like this. Just clear your room, basically. Okay, and know that, for example, if you scheduled your exam to start at 11 o'clock, you can start all of this preparation half an hour before. You can download this software half of an hour before. You can start verification process half an hour before. So you can do it like this. I suggest let's move on. I think I have more tips on the next slides. So a couple of words regarding this tool to pass for the online exam, to sit for the online exam. You just download it, you do this pre-check, then the important thing, you should position your camera, you should position your face to be within the frame of your camera. And during your exam, you are not allowed to basically look away from your camera. If you're going to do like this, proctor may decide to invalidate your attempt. This is important. If you're going to do like this is a big chance that your attempt will be invalidated as well. So you just need to sit like this, read question, answers, and don't move your head, don't look around. This is important. There will be a real person monitoring you all the time. He will monitor your camera and also your noises. So you need to allow recording of video and sound. And if somebody, for example, will suddenly came to your room, it will invalidate your result as well. So ask your wife and your kids to go away at least for 3 or 4 hours. This is important. So when you download this, you do your pre-check just to check your camera is working, your sound is working. And this tool, it will also ask you to close other tools like Slack or, some screen recording software. Haha, you're not allowed to do this. So you need to close it, then you can run this tool. And you need to wait for your proctor to join. When you finish your pre-check, you click OK, I'm ready, and it will tell you now you shouldn't move your head, you shouldn't leave this frame, and just sit and wait for your proctor. For me, I did it 3 times, and it took like 3-4 minutes maximum until my proctor has joined me, so not a lot of time. You're going to talk to your proctor. He or she is going to tell you to show him your ID like this in the camera to show you surroundings. I told you about it. Then there will be a demo. Then you pass the exam. Then you can pass or skip the survey and celebrate. That's the high-level process. And I think I have more tips. Yes, here. So find a quiet place, no disturbances, clear your surroundings, disable all disable all apps and updates, because it will be unfortunate if your window is going to update during your exam. So make sure it is not. Maybe restart your router. Make sure everything is in place. Know your timings. And okay, this is the important stuff. As I told you, a lot of questions will have a lot of text written. Because you will be given some kind of settings. Yes, it will start like this. You are a project manager for a great company. Your client comes to you and asks for something, blah 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 blah. Then another context, and the last sentence in the question, it will be what you should do next, or what a project manager should do next. Yes, this will be the last sentence. Or there can be another question in the last sentence. So for these long questions, it may be a good idea to read this last sentence first. And so in the beginning, you will understand, okay, they want me to answer this. And then you read your question from the beginning, keeping in mind basically the question itself, what you need to answer. It helped me. So I advise you to use it. Then use the strike-through tool we discussed. Another important topic for me, I think about 20 or maybe even more questions. They were not so obvious. It's like you're given some setting, and in the answer was quite big and comprised of several parts. And the question was, what is the best way to do something? Like the best way. And the thing is, all of the answers, they fit. Yes, all of the answers are actually correct, but only one of these answers is the best way. Of course, there is always some, context, some background why it is the best one, and you need to understand this. You need to start thinking in this way. But if you see that for some reason, uh, three, or for example, two parts of the questions, they seems correct and applicable for this question, two parts of the answer, but one part of the answer, it is incorrect or not applicable in some way, in your opinion, probably this whole answer is incorrect. I hope you see my point here.
And Victor, also I can add that sometimes they say, what is the first thing PM should do? So he should do all the four answers, but what should be done first? And actually, if the current, let's say, audience never saw any questions, it would be good to show it because it's really tricky sometimes.
Yeah. Do this practice exams. They also have tricky questions there.
Yeah.
Okay, regarding what to do first, I think that in the updated version of the exam, there are less questions like this. There were more questions like this in the previous version because it was based on this ITTOs, yes, on the processes and process groups. But the modern version, I think they have less questions like this. But anyway, good point. Thank you, Vitaly. My last point here, again, you don't need to register for the exam in advance. I'm not talking about application for the exam. I'm talking about going into Person View website. Person View, it is international, exam provider. They have different offline facilities, and they are going to make this proctored exam happen for you. So when you paid for the exam, when you're ready, it it doesn't make sense to go and schedule your appointment, your actual exam appointment, like 3 or 4 weeks in advance. It doesn't make sense to me because when I looked at it, I always seen like the next available date was just several days ahead. So when you think that you are ready, you just register for 3 days ahead and you take the exam and do it. But of course, when you have paid for the exam, you're going to have an access for this person view website when you schedule an actual appointment and you go and check this availability times and dates and decide if for you it will be the same thing as for me, so no need to register much in advance. And for 3 of my exams, it was like this. I registered just couple of days and no problems. A lot of free times available. Okay, any questions or additions here, guys? I think that's it for the tips from my side. So let's see what is left. Okay, the most important advice, yes. Do your preparation, do a lot of tests because practice makes perfect. That's true. Okay, so let's talk about what you're going to have if you did everything right. You're going to have something like this. This is the certificate. It has a start date and an end date, so you need to refresh it. But refreshing is another topic. We are not going to discuss it today. And again, after a couple of days, you're going to receive an email with link to some details of your exam attempt, and they are going to, how it's called, put you into one of these buckets. As you can see, if you are here, it means that you have failed your exam. If you are here, it means that you have passed. And as you can tell from me, I scored above target for 3 out of 5 domains, so I'm here. But really, I would have the same result here if I would be just here and score target for all of the exam domains. So your task is to be at least here. I think you understand. Let's move on. So couple of words, some feedback. I think that online exam is very convenient. It was smooth experience for me. For all of 3 of my exams, it was smooth. Actually, on one exam, I got disconnected. Just suddenly, this program, it was crashed or something, but I just restarted it and I continued from where I left. Proctor didn't say nothing to me. I just continued and no issues at all afterwards. So the exam questions, it were the most difficult questions than all of the questions in all of the exam simulators I have seen so far. So the real exam it is in true difficult. And they, even if the question itself is not so difficult, they try to structure the wording in the way to make it difficult. So you really need to, build a skill of answering questions and reading these wordings. And these practice exams, they will help a lot. Again, I told you in the beginning that for me, it was first as a knowledge refresher. So I still think it is like this for me. And again, as a nice benefit, after the exam, I have gained more confidence in my knowledge and skills, which is good, I think, for everybody, for all of us. So in general, I recommend you take, if not this exam, but some international exams and prepare. These are great stuff, in my opinion. Okay, and why not start today? You know what to do. You know pretty much everything you should know to pass the exam, or at least you know where to look at. You know how to prepare. So go and do it. I wish you all great success with this. And as you may know, PMP credential is often a prerequisite in modern job market. You can open some senior level roles or positions and you will see that, yes, they require this PMP credential now just to be, in a pool of candidates. So this is the modern things, guys. Yeah, Naglis, you want to add something?
No.
Okay. Andrei, thank you for this. Okay, this is it from my side. Thank you, guys. Feel free to ask any questions. Feel free to comment.
Just thank you for the information. Well
You're
structured.
welcome.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Victor.
Yeah, we have
Victor.
covered a lot of topics here. I'm going to share with you this presentation and also the recording because it's not easy. Yeah, and right now I think you can better understand why it is not easy. Yes, so I'm going to share. I am open, so you feel free to reach out to me. I will help you answer your questions. So I wish you all to pass this, to get this certificate. I like this experience in general, and I hope you will like it as well.
Thanks
Okay.
one more time. Bye, everyone.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, guys. Bye bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.